Good morning, everybody. This is October 21st, 2015. Today we're going to do a walk-around tour of my mom's home at 314 Avondale Abbey Lane. Come on in. So where we're going to start today is in the morning room. This is a place that my mom used to enjoy spending her mornings, watching the sunrise, reading various articles, and just enjoying her home. We're going to start right here. We've got this first item that we're showing you here. Below the lamp is an antique table. I am going to open this up so you can see what is in here. And I believe this was for coal for the fireplace back in the day. We're going to pan around over here just a little bit, if you will. There is a chest here. My understanding is that this chest belonged in my mom's family for a long time and actually came across America on a covered wagon. Above it is a little chest for little miscellaneous knickknacks, and my mom has some game toys in there. If the camera will just kind of pan around a little bit, you'll notice that there is some wicker furniture in here. That is not antique furniture, that is more contemporary furniture. But we make our way over to this round oak table here. This oak table has two drawers in it, which my mom would keep various CDs in here for listening to music. That is an antique. And there you can see a Boss stereo on top with a remote. If we will scan around, you'll see a little book rack right there. That was actually meant to carry firewood, I believe, at one time in our house in Napa. And if we scroll all the way around over here, you'll notice on the wall there's a couple of hand-painted little items here that my mom got from a girl in Northern California that's painted those, I think, just for my mom. And that pretty much concludes the morning room.
Okay.
Ready? Okay, so we are going to continue on. We are now in the living room of the home, and I would like to start over here and take a look at some items. This is an antique end unit right here. This has three doors that open and a drawer right here at the top, and my mom just has some little miscellaneous trinkets in there. If you'll scan this way just a little bit for me, you'll notice that this is a round end table here. This table right here the lid actually comes off this. There is a bowl underneath, and it's meant to put chilled bottles of wine in. This item right here has been in my family since the 1960s. It was in our home in Huntington Beach. It was in our home in Napa, and it now resides here. It's been in the family for a long time. If the camera will continue to pan, you'll see here are a couple little trinkets on the wall. These little bits of artwork are actually white keys off a piano. These are piano keys that were painted and then framed real nice, and there are several of those in the home. If the camera will continue to pan across the top of the fireplace, you'll see a couple of pewter bookends. These bookends right here are part of a series of 6 bookends which my mom purchased one at a time until she received all 6. And all 6 are in this room right now. If you'll continue to pan on a little bit, you'll see more of the piano keys that were converted to artwork here that are framed, are really nice. If you'll scan down here, you'll see this tabletop also has one in a frame. And this tabletop right here, if you'll back up just a little bit with the camera, this tabletop right here is actually a hand-carved wood tabletop, which I think you can see. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think Breen made this in high school for my mom. I believe this is something that Breen made and gave to my mother, and she's kept it with her ever since. So I just thought I would show that. You'll notice that we've got an older colonial/Victorian chair here. I'm not sure how old it is. Here is another end table right here. This table has also been in the Schrader family since I believe the 60s as well. It opens and just has some miscellaneous stuff inside, no big deal there. As we go on, you'll see a little wooden book rack right there. That's old. And then we come to the centerpiece in the living room. I would like to point this out. This oak centerpiece is a hand-carved antique, and this particular item right here actually houses the flat screen television. Okay, and then below, let me get that to stay shut. Then down here below, this, if I can get it open, houses the VCR and all the other items that go with the television. And this is a very old piece of antique furniture. It's a hand-carved piece of furniture and was a very special piece for my mom. Okay, so if the camera would back up just a little bit, you'll see over here we have an end piece. It's a wrought iron end piece with an antique clock on it. We have another wrought iron end table right here. And then you'll see we have a sofa here, and above the sofa, I'd like the camera to pan back just a little bit and take a look at the miscellaneous artwork that my mom has acquired over a period of time and brought together for this very nice collage. If the camera would back up just a minute and go down onto this really unique tabletop here in the front room. This table was not originally a table. This wrought iron piece at one time was meant, it had flowers coming out of it. It was in front of an antique store and had flowers coming out of it. My mom purchased it. She had it sandblasted. She had 4 legs welded on it. We painted it and then had this custom glass top made for it to create this unique piece that you see right here. And on top of the table you'll see another one of the pewter sculptures, bookends, part of the series of 6. But the table is a very unique table, and it is a one-of-a-kind table. There isn't another one like it anywhere. If the camera would please kind of pan over here, you're going to see an oak china cabinet, another antique piece, very valuable. Has a little table here for paying bills, a slot to put your bills. It has a mirror, and inside the china cabinet are miscellaneous pieces of china that came right off the Queen Mary, which is now harbored in Long Beach. The Queen Mary ship, as it was being brought into Long Beach, my dad took Breen, myself, Brent, down to the cliffs in Huntington Beach. We saw the Queen Mary come in for the very last time. It's there now permanently on display, and these are items out of the Queen Mary. We'll scan over here just a little bit further. You see one more, the last of the 6 pewter bookends there, all very unique, all very special. And we will kind of wrap it up with a couple more little items. We've got this chair here, this leather chair with the ottoman. And directly, if you'll come over here with the camera, directly behind the chair is a wooden footrest. I believe people put their feet up on that to have their shoes polished, I believe, is what that is. And that has been in my family since the late 60s, early 70s. That pretty much concludes the living area of my mom's home. Okay, so now we are in the hallway, and the first thing I would like for the camera to do is to pan up above me, and you will see a nicely hand-sculptured wood item. This comes from Asia, and this hung over the gates or entry doors of Asian royalty, and it is my understanding that there are only 6 of those in existence. Now, if the camera will just follow me over here, the first thing I'd like to point out on the wall here, you're going to see a nail and some nail holes here. I point this out because when I arrived at my mother's home here, when she started to not feel too good, we noticed this right away. Something is missing here, and we don't know what it was. We don't know if it was a picture or a trinket, we're not sure. but I just, we just want to make sure it's duly noted, okay? If you'll pan over here to this really neat wall unit, this hand-carved antique, I believe it is oak, I'm not sure. It's for coat racks. Down here is a place to sit, and then there is underneath is a storage area for pillows and blankets and stuff like that. This item right here has been in my family since I believe 1970. This was in our home in Napa and has followed my mom all the way here. So this is an antique that's been in our family for quite some time. And the thing that appealed to my mother is my mom loved handcrafted workmanship, and this certainly shows that. If the camera would just kind of pan out just a little bit and follow me over here, I'm going to go to my left just a little bit and point out some items that are really significant in this room. Starting with this table. This table was purchased by my mother and father in 1970, I believe. This, while we were living in Napa Valley, this is the top of a wine barrel. And underneath this Lazy Susan is a square hatch with a handle that the guys used to lift so they could climb down into the wine barrel and clean it. It is an oak wine barrel top made into a 3-leaf table. As you can see, it has oak chairs to go with it. And this item right here is a priceless Schrader heirloom. This one item right here has more value than everything else in the home put together. I say that because at this table, our dad, our mom, our oldest brother, myself, Breen, and Brent sat at this table for many Thanksgiving dinners. I recall every Thanksgiving we each had to take turn giving grace, and none of us were very good at it. But we all sat at this table as a family. We enjoyed this table as a family, and this table holds many, many great memories for our family and will forever. So I just wanted to point that out. You'll look right above it, you'll see a neat custom lamp in the home, which my mom had added, and I'm not sure what the story is behind that. And then if you would, with the camera, if you would just pan over to this wall, if you would please, for just a minute. This is a collage that my mom put together. Okay, and some of the items on this wall are significant, starting with the violin. My great-grandmother, my mom's mom, played the piano, and my grandfather played the violin, and that's how they met, and this is my grandfather's violin. If you'll scan over here, you are going to see the cover to sheet music to a song called Jean, and this is how my mom got her name. My mom was named after this sheet music. If you'll pan down here just a little bit, you'll see a horn and some other musically related items because my mom enjoyed music and so did her family. As the camera would pan back over here, this right here, I believe, I'm not sure what the status is on this, but let's just go ahead and get it completely, completely in the camera so we can discuss that later because I don't know the details on that. Okay, now let's go ahead and scan the camera over here if you would please. You'll notice we have 2 small oak end tables, okay, with drawers in them. They're identical. There's 2 of them here, and I would like to make sure that we get both of those in the camera. Okay, and then if we could take the camera and pan the camera back over here to the last item in the dining area. Okay, you'll take a look at this here again. This is another hand sculptured antique that my mom found. I'm not sure how long it's been in our family, but I believe we've had it since the 70s, I think. It's got a glass back to it, nicely hand carved wood. It's got a corian or marble. It's a marble top, and as you can see, it's been nicely carved. Here is a silver tray with a vase and glasses, and these glasses were wine bottles at one time. The tops were cut off them, and they were hand etched, and my mom purchased these down in Mexico. Okay? And if you would just maybe just pan around just a little bit, get that whole piece of furniture into the into the picture, that would be great. And that would conclude the dining room. So where we are right now is the hallway that leads into the master bedroom. Come on in. You see some trinkets on the wall there, some neat pictures my mom has collected over a period of time. Okay, so here we are in the master bedroom right now. What I'm going to do is we're going to go around clockwise in the bedroom and just point out some of the neat little trinkets and pieces of furniture that my mom had. So if the camera will pan over to this wall first, you'll see that we have a collage here that my mother put together of our relatives. We've got a neat little lamp on the wall. We've got pictures of my mom's side and my father's side. If the camera will come down here, I'd like to just point this one out here. This is my dad. This is my aunt, and that is my grandmother on my dad's side. If the camera would just pan down to this little picture, I don't know if we can see it very good. This picture was taken in the, I would say in 1960 approximately. There's Brock, there's Brent, I'm in there somewhere, and then there's Breen sitting on my mom's lap. There are some more pictures there, and as the camera pans away just a little bit, you'll see that it is also on a what appears to be an oak antique table here. Okay, so now if the camera would just back up just a little bit, what we're doing is we're coming by the master bedroom. The master bathroom. What I would like the camera to do is to just take a quick pan in here just so that we can see the bathroom, and then we will pan back out. The master bathroom and a master closet back there. Now as the camera pans back out, I would like to point out a picture here. This is my mother in her early 20s. As you can see, she was a very beautiful woman and still is to this day. Over here we have a table that opens up. These have folding doors on it. This piece of furniture has been in my family since the 60s. We had this in Huntington Beach. Above it you'll see a mirror that we've had since the 1960s. It was in our home in Huntington Beach. Right here is a unique little trinket. This is a teddy bear that my mom had made out of a mink stove that her mother had. She took the mink stove and they made it into this neat little priceless teddy bear. If the camera will just back out a little bit and take a look now at the bed. If you take a look at this bed, you'll see that this bed is an antique bed, oak headboard and footboard, hand carved antiques. Okay, some pictures on the wall. I believe this might be her grandmother when she was a child. The table right below that picture, which actually goes with the mirror on the other side of the wall, were in our home in Huntington Beach throughout the 60s. I'm going to slowly move over this way. What we have here is another antique chest for clothes with a mirror, a swivel mirror on the top. This is, I believe, is made out of walnut, and this with a glass top. This is an antique. Okay, with all the drawers in which my mom kept her socks and her clothing in. Now if the camera will pan over here just a little bit, you'll see that we have another, I believe it's a colonial or Victorian type chair. There are two in the bedroom that my mom had reupholstered. They are hand carved like everything else you've seen so far. Again, that was the stuff that appealed to my mom. My mom had a real eye for detail. If you'll come over here, we have another chest in mirror, oak, I believe, hand-carved, antique, with a drawer down here. My mom kept sweaters and stuff like that in there as well with a glass top on it. Some pictures of the family above, and another chair right here. And that pretty much concludes the master bedroom. Okay, so now we're in my mom's office. If the camera will come on in and take a look, we'll start over here on this wall. As you can see, she put some wire baskets up here that she used to keep in order in regards to paying her bills. She liked everything neat and tidy. If the camera will pan over here, you'll take a look at this little cubby hole. It was actually meant to be the closet, as this is a bedroom. She had the closet doors removed. She had cabinets installed. She had this installed as a workstation, which worked out really well for her. And she's got several wicker baskets and stuff to keep everything in there. If the camera will just go ahead and pan behind me, you'll see some trinkets on the wall, some china and a mirror. And if it'll scan on over here, you'll see these two items here. Now these two items are actually drawers. If you can see right here, this is a handle. These were meant to be in a drawer. They slid out, and in each one of these individual boxes were letters used for printing. My grandfather was a printer, and he'd pull out a letter S or an R to create words, and that's what these drawers were for, and there's one on either side of the cork board. You go ahead and just pan around the wall over there, Brent, if you would please. You'll see this lamp, which has been in our home since the 60s. It was in our home in Huntington Beach. You'll see this oak antique clock, which was in our home during the 60s. And then if you'll slowly scan above it, my mom actually had that made with a bunch of keys and locks, thought it was a neat little trinket. If the camera will pan back down, you'll see that there is a tabletop here. This table is not an antique. It is just a table that she has in here. But this one right here, where you'll see the copier and the computer on, this table right here is an antique. And the chair that goes with it is also an antique. And there are, I believe, a drawer right here for little miscellaneous items. And one of the items I see right away is a trinket from the Kiwanis Club, as my dad was the lieutenant governor of the Kiwanis Club in Napa Valley, California. If the camera could pan over here, please, you'll take a look at another antique table right here with a mirror above it and a lamp. Right above it, you're going to see a picture of the four boys. Starting at the top, we've got Brock. Then we have Brent. Then we have yours truly, and then we have that little tyke we call Breen right here. Now if the camera would just pan over here, you'll see two wall units. I'm not sure what type of wood they are, but they do have doors that will slide out and slide down to cover them with miscellaneous items in them. And most of the stuff that was in here was related to my mother's religious stuff, Christian Science. The camera will pan over here. You'll see that my mom had a dictionary that she went to. She referred to it frequently with her studies. The table that it's sitting on is not an antique. It's just something that's, I would say, contemporary. And that pretty much concludes the office. Okay, so here we are in the front bedroom. or the guest bedroom in my mom's home. The camera will come in here just a little bit. I'd like to start over here on this wall. This is a neat little mirror that my mom had me install for her on the wall that actually looks like a window with two shutters. It's a really neat, unique piece that looks perfect in this room. If the camera will pan over here, you will see two twin beds with wrought iron headboards and a small center night desk and lamp over there. You'll notice a picture on the wall here. I call that Old Man Time because there's a clock above his head and he's just sitting there and he appears to be waiting. If the camera will continue to pan around and just catch some of the other items in the room. If the camera would pan down here, here's another little end table. I don't know if it's an antique or not, but it's in here. We have this dresser here. I'm not sure if this is an antique or not either, but here it is with some miscellaneous pictures and trinkets above it. And these two items on the wall here are actually purses, women's purses from the like early 1920s that were turned into decorative wall items. As the camera pans around, you'll see a mirror on the wall with two little flower vases on either side, decorations. And then we have here which appears to be another antique table, but I am not 100% sure, with drawers in it. And then as we start to walk out here, that pretty much concludes the front bedroom or guest bedroom. What we have here is the front bathroom next to the guest bedroom with a few miscellaneous trinkets in it. We are in the laundry room of my mom's home. As you can see, a basic washer and dryer and a laundry sink which she had installed as an option in this home when she built it. There's a couple little trinkets up on the wall. We'll catch those on both sides and then we will work our way out into the garage. Here we are now in the garage. This is a two-car garage. As you can see, my older brother Brent installed all of these custom cabinets in the garage so that everything could be put away nicely. You notice that there's some boxes in front of the cabinet and over above. Those are the miscellaneous clothes and Christian Science related articles that we have boxed up to determine where we are going with all of that. As the camera pans over here, you'll see a workbench in the garage. I'm just going to let the camera pan across to the other side of the garage just to kind of get an overview of what's in the garage. And you'll notice that there's also a car in the garage, a Honda Accord that belonged to my mother. And I believe the car is a 2002 Honda Accord. And then if the camera would, before the camera is turned off, maybe just pan outside so you can see what the driveway in the front of my mom's house looked like. That would be great. Kind of walk all the way back and pan out so we get the whole front of the house. Yeah. Beautiful home. Great neighbors. Wonderful place for my mom. And a beautiful day. And that pretty much concludes the walk around. Here we are now, we are in the kitchen of my mom's home. And the first thing that I would like the camera to take a look at is this item right here. I'm going to remove the flowers and I want you to see that this is a scale with weights on it and the little bucket that the flowers are in. The reason why I am pointing this out is that this item was in my family before Brock, Brent, Bryce, or Breen were even born. Breen and I played with this when we were little children. We thought it was a toy, and we enjoyed playing with the weights and the scales at a lot of times. We had a lot of fun with it. If the camera would just please kind of pan up here and see this custom light that my mom had made. I understand that this was originally intended to hang pots and pans from, and that it was converted into a light, which my mom had installed in this home. It's a very unique one-off piece. And then I would like for the camera to scan above me, if it would, and take a look at the many little trinkets and antiques my mom had, starting with that scale right there, which I believe was a peanut scale, I believe. You know, scan over here, you can see the water trough, pump, other miscellaneous items. These irons, these middle irons right here, have been in my family since the 50s or the 60s. If I could get the camera to pan over here. On this side above, we can start over here with one of the antique clocks that my mother acquired over the years. Okay. As we make sure we catch all that in the camera, and then we're going to continue on in the kitchen here. We're going to pan back up over here, kind of starting over somewhat. This clock in the corner belonged to my grandfather out of Louisville, Kentucky, and was in his home, and it was passed down to my dad and then to my mom, and it is here now. If the camera will kind of scan over here, you'll see another antique clock right here. I don't know the story behind it. Above, you're going to see some bird cages up here. When my mom was in Singapore, it was a big deal for the men to carry bird cages around with birds, and she thought that was neat and kind of wanted those as trinkets. Over here, you're going to see a gumball machine. This came out of my dad's muffler shop in the late 50s or early 60s. I'm not sure exactly the date. You'll see an old peanut jar right here, antique peanut jar, some other trinkets. You come over here, you're going to see a thing, I believe this was for maple syrup. There's another one of the gumball machines out of my dad's muffler shop back in the day. And then, as the camera kind of catches the rest of this stuff, I'd like to have it pan right over here above my head. This is another antique, hand-carved antique. This is a coat rack. And as you can see, there are some miscellaneous china trinkets above it that all have a story behind them. And that pretty much concludes the kitchen area. Okay, so we are in the backyard of my mother's home right now. My mother's home is in a beautiful location. It's at the very top of the hill, and behind my house, my mom's house, is a wonderful pond and forest. I'd like for the camera to pan out, if it would. You'll see some trees, forestry trees, and as the camera continues to go, you will see the pond out there, and that pond is a home for Canadian geese. They come and go on a regular basis there in that pond. If the camera could maybe pan out over here, I would like to point out this tree right here, which we call the Kissing Cousins. This tree right here, we call this the Kissing Cousins. And this tree is such a unique tree that you will not find anywhere else. That when my mother had the custom lighting put in her backyard, she had lights installed, so at night this is lit up. It's a really neat piece. We call it the Kissing Cousins. If the camera will go ahead and just pan back out, back towards the back of my mom's house.
I won't be able to go into the sun.
Okay. If the camera could just pan over here to this waterfall that my mom has. It's a 3-leaf clover waterfall with a frog in it at the bottom. When I was up here visiting my mom, she told me about this. We went and found this. I actually brought this home and installed it right here for her prior to any landscaping being installed, so I wasn't sure how the finished product was going to look. But as you can see, it looks fantastic with the colored flowers around it. And the sound is very tranquil throughout the day and night. If the camera would just pan around and get some of the patio furniture, that would be great. And if the camera could just pan back up for just a moment to get a picture of the electric awning that my mom has. You push a button, the awning comes out, it has a wind sensor, if the wind picks up, it automatically retracts. Very nice feature to the home. And that pretty much concludes the backyard.